The Palico, or I guess you could say your body, the keystone of support when it comes to Monster Hunter, in the form of your average feline cat to whatever Charcha was. Now, game to game, the functionality of our companions changes. They can do more, or in some games, less, having a lot of customization or none whatsoever. And in some games, they are goddamn broken. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you may have remembered I put out a video on my initial thoughts of the Palico in Wilds, and how this iteration is the most disappointing of them all. Many people have had complaints of the Palico in Wilds. There were even reviewers warning us of how busted they were, even going so far to suggest we leave them behind and venture out alone. Now that is a sad prospect. I've always enjoyed having my buddy at my side. Well, regardless if you agree or disagree that they were broken, Capcom went out of their way to make some balance changes to them in one of the recent patches, which I'm sure fixed a lot of people's issues with them in the game, but not mine. My main issue wasn't about how busted they were, even though it was to the degree that healing was an afterthought. My issue with the Palico in Wilds runs deeper, and today we're gonna get into it, exploring the bastardization of the Palico, or more simply put, what makes Wilds Palico so bad. So, let's go. Firstly, why don't we go over the Palico in Wilds and how you can interact with them and what they can do. They can be equipped with weapons and armor, allowing you to customize them for different battles, or lay them up with cute or funny armor. Now this one is one of the favorites on our Discord. Next, they have a range of abilities that can be learnt via doing sub-quests throughout your journey in the game, which I gotta admit, that is pretty cool. These abilities can be categorized into 4 types: support, buffs, combat, and special abilities. A range of interesting and useful skills, some of which can even revive you when you've fainted. Now that is broken. Not the first time you've seen it, but I felt like it was important to point it out. Then there are other abilities, like healing you or cleansing your status effects, or even piloting a flying Rathalos machine, raining down fire on the monster. Now you may be thinking, yo Nova, that sounds awesome. The Palicos in Wilds can do so many different things, so what don't you like about them? Well, the problem is, the Palico in Wilds does too much. There is no customization to the Palico in this game. Apart from the armor and weapon, there's nothing. No class system, no abilities, nothing at all. All of that has vanished. Monster Hunter World, even though the Palico was dumbed down in that game, at least you had player choice. The ability to change up which gadget you'd use on a given quest. Maybe you enjoyed having more traps, then you take the flash flying cage gadget. Or you're having troubles with stuns, the core orchestra is the way to go. Or maybe the monster you're fighting can't be trapped, so to optimize your healing, you go for the basics to keep yourself alive. You had to think about what you were doing with your Palico in that game. Now in Wilds, there is a lot of friction Capcom have taken away in favor of player convenience, and the Palico situation is probably one of the worst offenders. They've just combined all of the elements into one. They didn't just make it more simple, they took away from any player choice and player thought. You just don't have to think. There is no good that comes from this. They just took away from customization we used to have. Interesting mechanics around the Palico in favor of an easier time. Some may like that fact. They don't want to focus on their Palico and just on their hunter. And some even said so on my last video. And if you're one of those people, the answer is simple. Don't engage in it. If you don't enjoy customizing your Palico's moveset, keep it basic and keep it pushing, like come on. Having the system doesn't take away from your enjoyment of keeping it simple, but not having the system ruins many of our enjoyments of wanting to engage with the game. And some others may say, well Nova, Palicos in the mainline series are always simple. No, my friend, that is not the case. They have progressively gotten simpler, and it's a sad reality. Because if you look back on the 3rd and 4th gen with 3U and 4U, holy crap, those games would blow you away with how much they had back then. And even more so when you look at Generations and Rise. When you think about those games, you'd understand why I dubbed it a bastardization. Now let's look back on the 3rd gen, my birthplace. I can't comment too much on Monster Hunter previous to this because I'm not knowledgeable enough on it, so we'll start here. In this game, you didn't have your typical partner. You had Charcha and Tri, And then in 3U, Kayamba joined the battle. We didn't have gadgets or classes in this game. We didn't even have armor for our little friends. Instead, we had masks, and masks were awesome. Not only did they come with their own unique abilities with each one, they also looked hella cool on our bodies. Some of my favorite designs were the Pitfall mask, Gag mask, and the almighty Ultimate mask. The Ultimate mask was kinda busted as well. If you know, you know. As I said before, each had their own unique ability that could be done on command of pinging either Cha-Cha or Kayamba in the menu. For example, the Pitfall mask. As you could imagine, Pitfalls on demand were quite useful. They did have an internal cooldown, but it was still a very good ability. Or the Fluffy mask, which would mark the monster's location on the map, very useful in bigger locations. There were so many of them. In fact, overall, I had about 20 in the game. Now that was awesome. A large array of choices to pick from. On top of that, each mask also had a mastery level. The more the body used it, the more proficient they'd be with their abilities. So, there were some masks I had Cha-Cha Master and others Kayamba. If you think that was a lot, there's so much more. It's actually crazy looking back. Each mask had ability slots from 1 to 3, giving you the ability to slot in abilities to beef up your guys, ranging from increasing elemental damage to gaining the ability to use shock traps. Pairing the right ones with the right mask can lead to a variety of results. More testing, which I'm a big fan of. Then there were the dancers. Now, modern Palicos you may know as the masters of the support horn. Well, back in my day, it was all about dancing. And trust me, these guys knew how to move, breakdancing and all. You had a list of dances you could learn throughout the game. Pairing these would add up to different outcomes. Maybe one dance would result in a taunt, or some healing, or elemental attack boosts. Having options and choices really added to the hunts. Each dance, however, took a toll on stamina, which led to another cool dynamic. Different masks gave them different stamina recovery levels. This way, some masks performed better with dancing than others, so you could mix and match your team for whatever you needed. A more supportive dancer with buffs, or maybe a more offensive body with unique utilities to assist. The combinations were plentiful and fun to play around with. Now remember back to when I said Palicos didn't have armor in this game? Well, the masks in fact give their own attack and defense stats. So you need to think even more of how you pair things together in this game. It's awesome, and I just have to say, in the old games, defense actually mattered more on Palicos, because in the new games, 5th gen onwards, them dying doesn't matter, they come back instantly basically. In the old games though, them dying was a big issue. They had to recover their health to get back into the hunt. So building a more defensive Palico, or in this case, building Cha-Cha or Kayamba correctly, could really keep them around for longer and make them more impactful in the fight, which once again, was engaging. And in 3U, you could do so much with them. There were so many options you had. If you're looking for a bit of madness in your hunts, there's the false feline mask. God damn, the amount of times Kayamba blew the fuck out of me back in the day. It was annoying, but it was fun. The options felt endless. It was great. There was so much to those guys in that game. It's actually insane when you look back at that. All of that for a body system, and then when you compare that to the modern era, what do you have? Nothing. There's nothing. They've stripped it all away. They really don't want you to think, engage, or struggle when it comes to your Palico being at your side. They just want you to play and forget about them. Cause heck, that's what I did in Wilds, cause there's nothing to do with them. Nothing to change based on what you're fighting against. There's no changing in builds, not even understanding what they actually do. They just exist to make things easier for you. That's it. It's lazy. So goddamn lazy. And it sucks. And this isn't the only time they've done this. Like I was saying in World, they dumbed it down there too. But at least you had options, so I can give them that at the most. Now I've seen some people saying, if you think that they do too much or that they're too strong, just don't do the quest to upgrade them. And firstly, this take is insane to me. Mostly because it shows you lack brain cells. And secondly, if you actually start to think for more than 1 second what that statement implicates, you'd realize your brain may be fried. You're basically saying, do not engage in the game's content. Like, what? This game that I'm playing and I do like, you're telling me to not engage with it? Boy, shut the hell up. Firstly, you don't know what the game has to offer on that front until you completed the game. So for me, even back in the beta, I was curious about the Palicos and what's going on there. I decided to wait for the full game to see if they're doing anything with them. Lo and behold, I was very disappointed. Secondly, there is no way to turn off their mechanics. And even if there was, that doesn't solve the issue with no customization. Because it literally just be toggling off the very limited options the game would give you. Comparing that to any game before Wilds would still result in the system being garbage. So no, that is not a good option. But that's not all. There are people telling everyone to leave their Palicos at home if the game was too easy. So for me, it was interesting because I did leave mine at home. Not because I thought the game was too easy, but because I hate this fucker. Chives the Third, you do not live up to the Chives name. It's kind of funny, because when I did leave him at home, there was this one weird bug where sometimes he'd reappear and start following me on my hunts.
Wait, why's the cat back? Or did they disappear when we hunt?
No, I'm pretty sure it's a bug, because that happened to me once as well. I was like, so confused.
I literally see your cat as well. I'm following your cat. That's the reason why I know.
Why is my cat here too? Fucking dickhead, man. It's as if Capcom really want to shove the fact that they suck so much down my throat. Like, bro, come on. I know they're broken in Wilds. I've seen it, alright? Your Palico can revive you. You don't even need to heal, okay? It's so true. Like, everyone has documented it. But for me personally, that is not my issue with the Palico in this game. It's just the fact they're so bare bones, there's nothing to them. They're basic. They're worthless. And things like this are why people are saying that Capcom are dumbing down their games. And there's no denying it when it comes to this system. It's straight facts, nothing but. I held my tongue when it came to World, but then they go ahead and dumb it down even further in Wilds? What a tragedy. It's sad. We could even look at For You. It also had so much. You had different classes like we said before. Fighting, protection, support, healing, bombing, stealing, treasure, launching and stamina. You could go around and recruit Palicos to team up and they would even perform team attacks. The Palicos would work together. Like, bro, that was so cool. You could train them, change the behavior of who they're targeting. It was great. Then moving on to GU, they took those ideas and elevated them to 11, having easier ways to recruit Palicos, with once again a grand assortment of customizations. They did, however, revise some classes, removing launching and treasure and introducing Beast, a whole new ferocious mode. They also replaced support, stealing and stamina with assist, gathering and charisma. So yeah, quite a lot of choices for the changes they made, with new moves and abilities. On top of that, you could even play as a Palico. This was called Prowler mode. It was awesome. Some pro players made it their job to only use Palicos to show others how good they really were. And I gotta give it to them. It was very impressive. And for that system to work, they made sure to add a multitude of different choices to keep the mode unique and interesting. And they did a bang of a job. Now, even though the AI in that game around the Palicos definitely was made to spite me, I still love my guys in that game. I still got so many clips of them doing the coolest of shit. Nice. And also having the biggest betrayals too. I suppose you take the good of the bad. Anyway, you could really tell they cared as they added in so many new mechanics with those guys. But now, it's either they don't give a shit or they think the average hunter is too stupid to remember to prepare their Palico for a hunt. Which is it? I don't know, maybe it's both. I think we need to do a poll on this one. You can find it down below in the description of this video. Or just let me know down in the comments on what you think about the situation. Also leave a like, subscribe to your boy, support us over here. I'd appreciate it, come on. So, going back on topic, god damn. Like, how did we get here from peak? Going into World, they did dumb the system. you were limited to a couple of gadgets. Cool in their own right, so there were some customization there. Not as much as I'm used to, but in hindsight, a whole lot better than Wilds. And I know a lot of you may have started in World and gadgets are what you know, but I gotta say guys, going from before that, it's just not comparable. You can see this from my examples, like there's just not much there when it comes to the Palico in World in comparison to the 4th and 3rd generation. I've heard in the 1st and 2nd generation there wasn't much to Palicos either, but the 3rd and 4th were a big boost and big upgrade in what they were doing with the systems. And then going on to World and now Wilds, they really wanted to dumb it down for your average player, which is a shame. It's a real big shame. But then we go into Rise, which was actually very interesting because I was surprised they added the customizations back. There weren't as many Palico classes in the game anymore, but at least we still had them, and they had abilities. And you could take more than just one, hallelujah! And to top it off, they added a whole new buddy, the Palamute. Dogs are finally canon in Monster Hunter. Now these guys were awesome. Unique attack abilities, changing the whole way they attack and behave. Like bro, do you know how cool it is for your dog to bite a bear on its ass? A freaking bear? Like I don't give a fuck what no one says. Palamutes were goated. So goated, your buddy had the body strength to carry you and your big ass weapon along for a ride. And then after, jump into battle alongside you to tear shit up. Ah Palamutes, how low-key OP you were. Drifting around with your Palamute was so cool. And to this day, it's the best mount we've ever had in Monster Hunter. Yeah, that's right, to this date. So Sacred Fan 543, don't at me. We ain't having a debate on this one. Sacreds suck ass. Not really linked to the buddy situation, but I just got rant for a moment. They go the wrong way on auto runs, and when you try to control them yourselves, the controls are so sluggish, it's insane. They get in the way of you taking a picture, they just stand around looking stupid watching you do your thing. They're so goddamn lame in every way. So bad for me, 4 months later, and I still haven't customized my one skin, let alone give it a name. For now and evermore, you will only be known as Sacred, nothing else. Piece of shit. It's strange. The best mount was from the previous game, not because of the fact it can also help you in battle, but for the fact it doesn't constantly act like a dumbass half of the time. Going from Rise to Wilds, we didn't just lose a great Palico, we even lost an even greater Palamute and got replaced with this? Like really this. Mechanically, they are so inferior, it's crazy. Sacred and my rant aside, the Palico in Wilds is so bare bones, it's insane. They've taken the customization away in favor of making it easier for players, and that's truly the sad thing here. Don't think, don't engage, just consume. Convenience over substance in its worst form, adding nothing of value in return. Some would say it's what will lead to the fall of Monster Hunter, and with situations like this, it's hard for me to disagree.